sometimes we think that, well, if it's not relevant to me and you, if it didn't happen to us, then it's not relevant, right? But our Rebbeim, our teachers tell us that we have to look at current events. We have to look at things that are happening in the world are a message for us. When there's a big giant hurricane in Haiti or a big giant car pileup in Uganda and tens of people die, and you have a big giant earthquake in Japan or a big plague in East Africa, all these catastrophes, these big events that happen, they're telling us something. And what that is, okay, we have to think, we have to contemplate, maybe some cheshbon nefesh. Just this past week on Sunday, October 19th, something insane happened at the Louvre, one of the most popular tourist museums that exists on planet Earth, which houses the Mona Lisa. It houses tremendous amount of history and artifacts and jewels and gems. And on Sunday, in broad daylight, around 9 a.m., a gang of about 3 robbers, thieves, in the, covered and all, they pull up in a car, a vehicle that has an extendable ladder. They go to the second floor. They bring out these like chainsaws. They cut through the glass in front of, literally, the museum is open. People are there, doing their thing, staring at the Mona Lisa. And the Mona Lisa is staring back at them. And the Mona Lisa was only, I don't know, 200, I saw in the news, like 275 yards or feet away, something like that. She just saw and she couldn't do anything. She's a painting after all. Why she's worth so much, who knows? You know why she's worth so much? Apparently they say because in 1911, no one really knew who she was. Okay, people in the art world knew about Mona Lisa, but in 1911, an Italian guy who actually worked at the Louvre, he stole the painting and he had it for like 2 years until he was caught. And then it got attention. It got hot on the press because it got stolen. So it's just an irony that the Mona Lisa became famous only after it got stolen for the first time in 1911. Be that as may, she was staring at this whole process, and these guys show up at the Louvre Sunday, October 19th, and they steal. It's estimated over about $102 million worth of jewels and gems, these tiaras and queen crowns and crazy amount of jewelry. Who knows what's going to become of it? But I find it tremendously ironic. And I don't think it's coincidence that this is the week of Parshas Noach. And the Torah tells us specifically, in Parshas Noach, the Torah tells us that, and Rashi points this out, that lo nichtam gezar din, that when their gezar din was nechtam, it was sealed. It wasn't for the promiscuity. It wasn't for the immorality, but it was for thievery. It was for being a gazlan, for stealing things. They would steal things that weren't theirs. A gazlan is specifically somebody who steals something by own begiloi during the daytime. It's brazen. And how ironic is it that this week, the week of Parshas Noach, the world experienced on a scale that's, when was the last time something like this has happened? Over $100 million worth of jewels and gems, thievery, broad daylight, in middle of one of the most famous museums on planet Earth, the Louvre, and they were able just to steal it. An outward show, begiloi of brazenness, of a terrible type of brazenness. So it's a tremendous thing, and I want to share with you something. As expensive as jewels are, there's a market value. There's a value for them, right? So they estimated, $100 million. But isn't it interesting? Anytime you have these thieves, think about what they look like. You can never see them. Why? Because anytime you have a thief like this, you have a heist, they're always wearing masks. They're covered in black. You can't see their face. And I was thinking that it really demonstrates what's really going on. You see, you think they're stealing something, a gem worth $100 million, and it's true, they are, but they're really stealing in the process something so much more. They're stealing themselves. Ultimately, it's the greatest identity theft, and I think that explains why they're always covered, because they don't really see themselves either. The greatest type of theft is not the stealing the jewels or not stealing the Mona Lisa, but it's stealing yourself. It's identity theft. It's not even stealing someone else's identity. I'm talking about you're stealing your own identity. You're not living your true self. You're not seeing your own immense holiness and value. I want to share with you something. When the Torah tells us that the people degenerated and became deserving of the flood, it doesn't call them Adam. It doesn't call them man anymore. You see, man, the first man that was created was Adam. He was called Adam. But slowly but surely, we lose that word Adam. And it's the Torah switches to kol basar, the flesh, the people, kol basar. Instead of saying Adam, the Torah tells us kol basar. Vatishachis haaretz lifnei halekim, vatimolei haaretz chamas. Right? And the Torah says, "V'hinei nishchasa ki hishchis kol basar es darko." Kol basar, the people of the world, they degenerated. Isn't that interesting? We don't even use the word Adam anymore. And I was thinking about this. Adam, the Hebrew word for Adam, our teachers, the tzaddikim, tell us that Adam is the same letters as Ma'od. Ma'od means very much, right? And the question is, how much is very much? Like, can you quantify that? And the amazing thing about that word Adam is that you can't quantify it. Adam is in the realm of Me'od, very much, because man's value is incalculable. It's actually immeasurable because it's like infinite. It's ma'od. You can't quantify that. You can't wrap around that. It's $102 million. That's how much this person is worth, or that this person is Forbes worth $7 billion. No, that's just a monetary amount, a fiscal amount, a money, a little S with a line or two lines, however you write it, or whatever currency you use. That doesn't value who you are. That's just the value of your bank account, how much money you have, how much you could spend on pizza. It doesn't value who you are at your core. Adam, a person at his core, is in the realm of Me'od because our potential is so great, is so immense. Somebody once approached the Lubavitch Rebbe and asked him, even in his older years, like, how can you stand up for so long, giving out dollar after dollar? Like, can't you just sit down? How are you able to stand up and give out? And the Rebbe told him that you don't get tired by counting diamonds. He viewed everyone as a yahaloim, as a diamond. You don't get tired from counting that. Man, Adam is in the realm of Me'od. The only person on planet Earth who was tapping into the essence of what an Adam is, the only person who was going away from the kol basar, where the people of the world lacked their own identity. It was the greatest identity theft. They weren't even called Adam anymore. They were called kol basar, and Hashem had to do a restart. The only person who really found himself, the only person who didn't get lost in this identity crisis was Noach. And the Torah tells us something absolutely amazing. It tells us, Eila told us Noach, these are the offsprings of Noach. What's the next word? That's right, Noach. Eila told us Noach. The offspring of Noach was Noach. He was able to produce himself. There was no identity crisis, no identity theft, no black seal, no black cover, no mask over his face. Because Noach realized of himself that I'm an Adam, I'm a person. And he valued himself that I can live in the realm of Me'od. I don't have to be measured. I can live beyond. I can live an immensely. He valued that in and of himself, about himself, what his capabilities were, what he was able to do. And that's why in a world that was seeped in darkness and that tapped into this idea of kol basar, that they lost their human identity, they couldn't even receive their own identity. Everything was covered up. They would steal things from other people. They were gazlanim, brazen thieves, doing thievery. Noach didn't get caught up with that. Eila told us Noach, he produced himself. He uncovered himself. He was able to live himself. The Torah tells us about the separations of the different levels that were aboard the Teva. And the Torah specifically tells us Tachtiyim, right? That there was a bottom level, a middle level, Shniyim, Ushlishim, and a third level. And Rashi points out, Aliyos zu al gav zu, there were different levels, one on top of another. El yonim le'adam. The top was for Adam. You see, kol basar had to be destroyed. The people who didn't view themselves as people, the Adams who didn't view themselves in the realm of Me'od, the people who viewed themselves as just, okay, I'm going to take what you have, they become as worthless as the Shava Pruta items that they stole. They become as worthless, yes. You become as worthless when you go to the Louvre and steal $102 million. You become as worthless as the $102 million because you're neglecting the Adam, the Ma'id, you're neglecting the immeasurable value of the self. You're neglecting the Elo Tolos Noach. You're neglecting the idea that El Yonim is La Adam. When you live and then tap into the idea of Adam, that I'm an Adam, I'm Ma'id, I can serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I can create, I can desire, I can be so much. I'm a Yalma. I'm the gem. I'm the true gem that has immense holiness and kedusha. But when you realize that you're an Adam, then El Yonim, you're on top. You're the one who's on top. So I think that, as we saw on the news this week about this heist at the Louvre, it reminds us that so many people, unfortunately, in the world, okay, maybe they didn't steal $102 million, but there's this overall identity crisis, a lack of understanding of what it means to be an Adam, what it means to have the potential of infinity, the potential of Ma'id. But what we as Yidden have to do is tap into what Noach did. Eila told us, Noach, the greatest thing we can produce in life is the greatest version of ourselves. Let's realize we're an Adam, and therefore we belong on the top floor. And El Yonim Adam. Then we're going to experience El Yonim loftiness, holiness, Kedusha. May we all be Zoiche to tap into that holiness and always be in the realm of Ma'od, constantly, perpetually growing and growing and growing. Wishing you a beautiful Shabbos.